The Krith hive world, Zerath Prime, loomed ahead like a shadowed mountain of steel and dark energy. Its surface was covered in massive spires, towers of alien design bristling with weapons and defense systems. This was the beating heart of the swarm, their command, their intelligence, their entire hive. Destroy it, and the rest of the Dominion would fall apart. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the Valiant, gazing at the planet. Behind him, human ships moved into formation alongside Valari and allied fleets. Thousands of vessels representing dozens of species converged on the Krith stronghold. It was a battle unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. "We go in hard and fast," Rourke said. "We hit their core, and we make them regret ever starting this war. Every strike counts. Do not waste a single shot." General Hayes nodded beside him. "The fleets are ready. Our Marines are on schedule for planetary insertion. This is it. The moment they will remember." In orbit, the first wave of human assault ships dove toward the planet, weaving through dense fields of Krith defense drones. The swarm reacted with deadly precision, firing beams, missiles, and energy pulses. Many Valari commanders expected catastrophe, but the humans adapted instantly. Fighters split into small teams, drawing fire away from larger vessels. Shielded transport ships carried Marines straight through intense fire zones. Missiles were fired at unconventional angles, striking critical points on Krith towers. "It's like watching a living strategy," Admiral Valen muttered. "They change tactics faster than we can follow." Rourke's voice came over comms. "Focus on the hive nodes. Disable their command structures. Everything else is secondary." On the planet's surface, human Marines and Valari soldiers deployed simultaneously. Dropships plummeted from orbit, armored units rolling across desolate plains toward the main hive towers. Krith swarmed to meet them, towering insect-like creatures armed with claws, spikes, and energy weapons. Captain Marcus Hale led the first ground squad. "Move fast. Use the terrain. The towers have weak points. Aim for the joints." Human soldiers advanced with calculated aggression. They improvised traps from debris, used energy grenades to collapse tunnels, and coordinated every strike with orbital bombardment. Krith beasts, massive and terrifying, charged, but every attack was met with ingenuity. Soldiers climbed, leapt, and improvised. Even when pinned, they used the enemy's strength against itself. Valari observers watched in disbelief. "No army should survive this," one said. "Yet they do, and they keep fighting." "Not fighting," Irvin corrected quietly. "They are winning." Hours passed. The Krith retaliated with massive hive beasts, some towering over buildings with armored limbs smashing everything in their path. Entire squads of Marines were knocked down, and Valari allies panicked at the carnage. But humans never wavered. Sergeant Alvarez led a squad of engineers directly into a collapsing tower to plant explosives at critical nodes. Despite fire raining down, they completed the mission. The explosion tore a massive hole in the hive defenses, allowing orbital teams to strike directly at command nodes. The Krith screamed in unison, a sound of rage and confusion, as humans disrupted the flow of their hive. Systems that had once been unstoppable were faltering. Captain Rourke coordinated the fleet and ground forces like a conductor of a symphony. Every strike, every maneuver, every plan was executed with precision and adaptability. Unlike other species, humans did not hesitate when situations changed. They adapted instantly. "Keep pressing," Rourke shouted. "No breaks, no mercy. Every move counts." The fleets obeyed. Entire sections of the hive were neutralized one by one. Krith reinforcements were drawn into traps, falling victim to ambushes humans had designed on the fly. Even Valari admirals were forced to acknowledge the brilliance of human tactics. Inside the central hive tower, the Krith queen pulsed with dark energy. Her hive mind felt the pressure, sensing the destruction above and below. Alerts flashed continuously. Nodes were destroyed, towers fell, defensive systems failed. Panic, something alien to the Krith, surged through the swarm. A massive wave of reinforcements rushed to protect her, but the humans anticipated it. Squad leaders had planted remote charges across the battlefield. When detonated, they created massive chasms, funneling the swarm into kill zones. The Marines unleashed a coordinated strike, cutting down thousands of Krith at once. Sergeant Alvarez, carrying another charge, ran toward the final hive node. Energy blasts struck all around him, but he ignored the fire. He leapt, planted the explosives, and dove to safety just as the charge detonated. The explosion tore the heart of the hive apart. The Krith Queen screamed, a sound that echoed across the planet and into orbit. Her swarm faltered, disorganized and directionless. The hive mind's control had been broken. Without her command, the swarm lost cohesion. Captain Rourke's fleet pressed forward, firing relentlessly. Every remaining Krith ship was destroyed or driven back into the void. For the first time in decades, the swarm could not recover. The battle was over. The core had been shattered. Silence followed. Across the galaxy, word spread instantly through communications networks. The DEATHWORLDers had not just defended a planet. They had destroyed the central hive of the Krith Dominion. Entire systems that had feared annihilation could breathe again. On Valar Prime, Chancellor Arivan watched the reports. Tears filled his eyes, not from sorrow, but relief. The humans had done what no one else could. The Valari Union would survive. Citizens filled streets, cheering, celebrating, and honoring the bravery of the humans and allied forces. Stories of individual heroism circulated rapidly. Sergeant Alvarez leaping onto the hive node, Captain Hale directing squads under fire, and countless unnamed soldiers who refused to yield. Yet among the celebrations, leaders whispered caution. Humans had changed everything. Their courage, creativity, and determination had shown the galaxy a new standard of warfare and resilience. What will they do next? A Velari senator asked. They have already shaken us, Arivan replied. But for now they are our saviors. Later we will learn what it means to have DEATHWORLDers as allies. Captain Rourke walked through the battlefield, among the wreckage of destroyed Krith machines and towers. His soldiers were exhausted but alive. They had survived impossible odds and they had triumphed. Report, he said to Sergeant Alvarez. All units accounted for, sir. Losses were heavy, but we held the line. The hive is gone. The Dominion is shattered. Rourke nodded silently. He looked out over the ruined landscape, feeling the weight of what had been accomplished. Humanity had stepped into the galaxy, not as spectators but as warriors, leaders, and symbols of hope. In the following days, survivors across the galaxy began rebuilding. Freed systems celebrated their liberation. Citizens formed militias inspired by human training. And the Valari Union began to reorganize under a new spirit of confidence. Even former enemies, who had once doubted humans, now respected them. The small blue planet that had long been ignored had changed the fate of the galaxy. And the Krith? Their swarm, without its queen, collapsed into chaos. Isolated groups fled into uncharted space. Systems that had once trembled before the Dominion could now plan for recovery, for growth, and for vigilance. Captain Rourke stood once more on the bridge of the Valiant, gazing at the stars. His crew gathered around, exhausted but proud. This is only the beginning, he said softly. The galaxy will not forget what we have done here. We fought, we endured, and we won, and we will continue to fight, whenever and wherever it is needed. Behind him, the Valari, allied species, and even civilians working with human forces looked on. They had seen courage in action, the kind that inspires generations. The DEATHWORLDers had answered the call, and in doing so had shaken alien worlds to their very core. Across the galaxy, whispers carried the story. The humans came. They did not run. They fought. And they changed everything. For the first time, the galaxy felt that it could survive not through fear, but through courage, determination, and the will to fight. Captain Rourke turned to his officers. Prepare to return to Earth, he said. Our fight is far from over, but the first step is complete. Humanity has shown the galaxy what we are capable of. Let the story of the DEATHWORLDers spread. Let every world know we do not quit. We do not yield. We endure. And as the fleet turned toward home, the stars themselves seemed a little brighter, reflecting the indomitable spirit of humanity. The galaxy had never seen a species like humanity before. Most young races who first reached the stars learned quickly to bow before the old empires, to accept their place in the chain of power. But humans were different. They came from a small blue planet, fragile in body compared to the giants of the cosmos, yet their will refused to break. For decades, the alien alliance had tried to crush them. This alliance was not a single empire but many, united only by fear. To them, humans were a dangerous mistake of nature. In their eyes, a species so young had no right to rise so fast, no right to resist so fiercely. Again and again, fleets larger than mountains had been sent to erase human colonies, yet every time the humans survived. They rebuilt, They adapted and they struck back in ways no one expected. But the cost was terrible. Entire human colonies had been lost, their skies turned into ash. Families were scattered among the stars, many never to be reunited. Cities burned, oceans boiled, and space stations became graves of twisted metal. Yet no matter how much pain humanity endured, their spirit did not break. If anything, it grew sharper. The alien alliance began to whisper among themselves. Why do they not fall? Why do they not surrender? For every human ship destroyed, 3 more appeared. For every city reduced to rubble, 2 new outposts rose in hidden corners of space. It seemed as if destruction only made them stronger. On Earth, the cradle of humanity, the Great Council gathered. No longer divided by old nations, no longer separated by flags or borders, humanity now stood as one people. Representatives from every surviving colony, every surviving fleet, and every hidden base met under a single oath. We will not be erased. The council chamber was filled with silence as the leaders studied the latest reports. Another colony had fallen. Children had been evacuated only hours before the enemy arrived. 1,000 ships had been lost in the defense. It was a victory for survival, but a hollow one. Admiral Corrin, an old commander with gray streaks in his hair, rose to speak. His voice was steady, though his eyes carried years of pain. They think us weak. They think us broken. But what they do not understand is this. Our strength is not in our fleets, not in our weapons. Our strength is in our unity. Every time they strike us down, we rise again. Across the chamber, murmurs of agreement spread. Humanity had once fought itself with wars and rivalries, but now those divisions were gone. The galaxy had given them no choice. Against the endless storm of alien fire, humans had become a single shield, a single sword. It was then that a decision was made, one that would echo across the stars. Humanity would no longer beg for survival. They would no longer try to prove themselves worthy in the eyes of alien rulers. Instead, they would speak in a voice so clear, so unshakable, that no one could ignore it. And so the engineers and scientists of Earth built a transmitter unlike any other. Using the combined resources of every colony, they crafted a machine capable of reaching every corner of the galaxy, its signal louder than any star. When it was ready, the council gathered again. The message was simple. No long speeches, no complex threats, just one truth spoken in human steel. This is humanity's final message. One more attack means your complete destruction. When the words were released, they rippled across the galaxy. Empires that had fought for thousands of years stopped to listen. Traitors, mercenaries, and travelers froze as the signal echoed across every communication line. The alien alliance received it first. Many laughed. Some dismissed it as arrogance. Others worried in silence. On a distant world, an alien warlord grinned. Empty words, he said, showing his teeth to his generals. They cannot defeat us. They are insects who dare to shout at giants. But deep inside, even the most powerful rulers felt a strange unease. For though humanity's fleets were smaller, though their worlds were fewer, there was something unsettling about the way the message had been delivered. It was not spoken with desperation. It was spoken with certainty. The aliens remembered history. They remembered how humans had adapted to every kind of environment. Cold moons, burning deserts, endless oceans. They remembered how human soldiers fought even when their weapons failed. How human engineers turned broken machines into weapons of survival. How human children grew into warriors without fear. If this species claimed they had the power to destroy, could it be true? Meanwhile, across human space, the people listened to the message and felt something stir in their hearts. For the first time in years, hope outweighed despair. Survivors of lost colonies wept, not in grief but in pride. Refugees whispered to one another, "We are not victims. We are not prey. We are human." Admiral Corrin stood aboard the flagship Defiance, watching the stars. Around him, the fleet waited in silence, every ship carrying the same order. Hold position. For now, humanity would not strike. They would give the galaxy one last chance. But behind that calm silence, preparations had already begun. Secret bases in hidden asteroid belts lit up with activity. Massive factories built machines never seen before. Entire planets shifted their industries toward war. Humanity was not lying when they made their final warning. They were ready. Across the galaxy, the alien alliance gathered in their own chambers. The leaders shouted at one another. Some demanded immediate attack to silence humanity once and for all. Others hesitated, warning that the risk was too great. Old rivalries cracked the unity of the alliance. But one truth remained. The humans had not surrendered, and they would not far away in the shadows of a dying star. A human scientist whispered to herself as she worked on a project known only to a few. Her hands moved with purpose, her eyes burning with determination. The weapon was not yet complete, but soon it would be. She thought of the message humanity had sent and allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy believed humans were bluffing. Soon they would learn the truth. For now, silence ruled the stars. But everyone knew it would not last. The alien alliance was too proud to back down, too fearful to accept humanity as equals. Another attack would come. The question was not if, but when, and when it came, humanity would be ready. The words of the final message echoed in every human heart, stronger than any fleet, louder than any weapon. One more attack means your complete destruction. The galaxy had heard the warning. The choice was theirs. The galaxy was not silent after humanity's message. In every corner, in every empire, the words were repeated again and again. One more attack means your complete destruction. Some laughed. Some doubted, but none could ignore. The alien alliance, which had united only to fight humans, was shaken. Their leaders gathered in massive halls of crystal and steel, arguing with voices that echoed like thunder. The strongest among them slammed fists on tables, declaring that humans were arrogant, that their small fleets could never match the ancient powers of the galaxy. But there were others, quieter, more thoughtful. They remembered battles where human ships, though fewer, had outmaneuvered entire armadas. They remembered the stubborn defense of colonies that refused to surrender even when surrounded. They remembered stories of humans fighting with broken weapons, turning scraps into tools of war. "Do not underestimate them," one alien lord whispered. "When they promise destruction, perhaps they speak truth." Still, pride ran deep. The older civilizations had ruled for thousands of years. To admit fear of a young species was unthinkable, yet the doubt remained, and in doubt cracks began to form within the alliance. While aliens argued, humanity acted. On Earth, the skies glowed with endless construction. Vast shipyards hung in orbit like silver rings, each filled with activity day and night. Cargo vessels carried metal from asteroid mines, while engineers worked without rest to build ships faster than ever before. Entire continents turned into factories, each machine producing weapons, armor, and engines of war. But Earth was only the beginning. Across Mars, the red planet buzzed with hidden energy. Underground tunnels stretched for miles, each one hiding reactors and research labs. On the icy moons of Jupiter, secret bases trained new fleets. Saturn's rings glittered not only with ice but with hidden stations, cloaked to appear like harmless rocks. Humanity's colonies, once scattered and weak, had become fortresses. Planets were wrapped in defense grids. Moons bristled with cannons. Even empty asteroid fields were reshaped into traps for any fleet that dared to cross. The silence of humanity's response was not weakness. It was preparation. Among the people, the mood had shifted. In the past, survivors of alien attacks had lived with fear. Refugees whispered of worlds lost, of fleets destroyed, of children carried away from burning skies. But now, after the final message, fear had turned into determination. Farmers on distant colonies worked harder, knowing their harvests would feed soldiers and workers. Engineers worked longer shifts, proud that every bolt, every circuit could save lives. Children studied with fierce focus, dreaming not of games but of flying ships or designing machines that would protect humanity. For the first time in history, every human heart beat with the same rhythm. We will endure. We will prepare. We will not fall. Inside the Luna Vault beneath the surface of Earth's moon, a secret project advanced. The place was guarded more than any city, with layers of walls, drones, and weapons. Few knew what lay within. Those who did called it by a single name: Final Dawn. Dr. Lyra Miles, chief scientist of the vault, stood over a glowing screen. Her face was pale from sleepless nights, but her eyes burned with focus. Around her, teams of scientists worked in silence, hands moving across controls, eyes watching streams of data. Before her, in a sealed chamber, energy pulsed like the heart of a star. It was not a weapon in the simple sense, not a cannon, not a missile. It was something older, something drawn from knowledge hidden deep in human archives. Some said it was discovered in ancient ruins buried on Earth long before humans reached the stars. Others whispered it was built from human genius alone. Dr. Miles said nothing. She only worked for she knew what this device could do. If unleashed, it could tear apart fleets, collapse stars, and reshape entire systems. Humanity's warning would not remain empty, but she also knew the risk. Once used, there would be no turning back. Meanwhile, in the fleet command, Admiral Corrin studied the reports. His ships patrolled quietly, avoiding unnecessary battles. Scouts moved like shadows, watching alien movements, recording every detail. A message from a scout captain arrived. The aliens are restless. Some plan to strike again. Others hesitate. They do not trust each other. Corrin nodded. This was expected. The alien alliance had always been a fragile union. They had joined only because they feared humanity. Without complete unity, they could not last. And if they struck again, it would be their last mistake. He turned to his officers. Keep the fleet silent. Let them wonder. Let them fear. Our strength now is patience. His words spread through the ranks. Soldiers sharpened their skills. Pilots trained in endless simulations. Engineers kept ships running as if their lives depended on it, because they did. But no ship moved to attack. No world struck first. Humanity waited. The galaxy noticed the silence. Merchants who once carried goods to human colonies now carried whispers. The humans are planning something. I saw their stations hidden in Saturn's rings. Travelers spoke of abandoned planets turning into fortresses. I saw engines the size of mountains being built on Mars. Even spies from alien empires returned with uneasy reports. They are too quiet, too united. Something is coming, but we cannot see what. And so fear grew. Some alien leaders demanded peace. Others demanded war. None could agree. The alliance shook with arguments even as humanity grew stronger. On Earth, the council met once more. They studied maps of stars, charts of resources, lists of ships. Each leader spoke of progress, of unity, of sacrifice. At last, the council leader stood. Our warning has been sent. They will not believe it until they test us. But when they do, they will learn. We must be ready. And so humanity prepared in silence. Factories worked without rest. Ships multiplied. Children grew into soldiers. Scientists unlocked secrets hidden for centuries. And always, the words of the final message burned in every mind. One more attack means your complete destruction. In the far reaches of space, a small alien scout ship drifted near a human outpost. Its crew scanned the defenses, laughing quietly. Look, one said. They are just children building castles. They think these walls will stop us, but as they scanned deeper, their laughter faded. Beneath the surface of the planet, energy readings spiked higher than anything they had seen. Strange signals pulsed from hidden machines. Weapons larger than cities rested in silence. The scout ship quickly turned away, sending a warning back to its leaders. The report was short, but its words chilled the alien council. They are not bluffing. Humanity continued its work, silent and steady. Every person, every colony, every ship played a part. The galaxy waited in unease, wondering when the next move would come. The silence stretched on, heavy as the void itself. But beneath that silence, the preparations of humanity burned brighter than any star. And when the time came, the galaxy would remember that silence not as weakness, but as the calm before the storm. The galaxy's silence did not last. For weeks, the alien alliance argued. Some leaders wanted to retreat, to leave humanity alone. Others shouted that surrendering to humans would mean weakness in front of the whole galaxy. Old rivalries surfaced and old grudges cracked their unity. In the end, pride won. One of the oldest empires in the alliance, known as the Draxar Dominion, decided to act. Their emperor was proud and arrogant, unwilling to let a younger species threaten him. He believed humanity's warning was empty. To him, humans were stubborn insects, loud but easy to crush. Let us prove to the galaxy, he told his council, that humans cannot stand against true power. One strike is all it will take. And so, without waiting for the rest of the alliance, the Draxar launched a fleet toward a remote human colony. The colony of Haven was small, built on the edge of human space. Its skies were blue, its oceans calm, its forests thick with green. It was a peaceful world, home mostly to farmers, children, and those who had escaped the wars. Many called it a place of healing, but peace would not last. One morning, the colony's defense satellites detected shadows at the edge of the system. Dozens of Draxar warships slipped from hyperspace, their hulls glowing with power. Their weapons lit the darkness like suns. Panic swept across Haven, sirens wailed. Families ran to shelters. Ships rushed to evacuate as many as they could, but the enemy fleet was too large, too fast. The colony's small defense force rose bravely to fight, but they were hopelessly outnumbered. The defenders knew they could not win, but they also knew they could not run. Captain Aidan Voss, commander of Haven's defense fleet, sent one last message to Earth before leading his ships into battle. His words were calm, steady, and filled with pride. "We will not surrender. We will hold the line. Even if we fall, humanity will rise again. Tell the Council. Humanity does not break." Then his ships charged into the fire. The battle was short but fierce. Human ships fought like lions, darting between the massive enemy cruisers, striking at weak points and forcing the Draxar to fight harder than they expected. But numbers could not be denied. One by one, the defenders fell. Explosions lit the skies and the colony below trembled. When the last human ship was destroyed, the Draxar turned their weapons on the colony itself. Cities crumbled, forests burned, and oceans boiled. Haven was erased from the stars. Only a handful of civilian ships managed to escape, carrying refugees and the final transmission of Captain Voss. His words spread quickly across human space. They were not words of despair. They were words of defiance, and they lit a fire in every human heart. On Earth, the Council gathered once again. The chamber was filled with silence as they watched the transmission. They saw Captain Voss's face calm even in the face of death. They heard his voice steady even as his fleet burned. When the recording ended, no one spoke for a long time. At last, Admiral Corrin rose. His voice was heavy with grief but also with steel. "They have tested us. They ignored our warning. Haven has fallen, but its spirit has not. The Draxar have chosen war, and the galaxy will soon learn what that choice means." The Council leader stood beside him. Her voice rang clear. "We will not rush into blind revenge. We will not waste lives on rage, but from this moment forward, humanity will act. No more waiting. No more silence. Our preparations are ready. The final dawn will rise." Every representative in the chamber placed their hand over their heart. The decision was made. Humanity would not strike in anger. They would strike with purpose. News of Haven's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Draxar boasted of their victory, sending messages of triumph to every world. They called humanity weak, foolish, and broken. They claimed that Haven's fall proved the final warning was a lie, but others were not so sure. Merchants who had traded with humans shook their heads. "You do not know them," they warned. "They will not forget." Spies who had seen human factories whispered of ships being built in silence, of weapons never seen before. "They are preparing," they said. "They are waiting for the right time." Even within the alien alliance, fear began to grow. Some leaders accused the Draxar of recklessness. Others argued that they should prepare for humanity's revenge. But pride blinded them still. Few understood what humanity truly had in store. On Mars, in a hidden war room deep underground, human generals gathered around glowing maps of stars. Admiral Corrin stood at the center. "Captain Voss gave us time," he said, his voice carrying through the chamber. "He gave us proof that even in defeat, humanity does not bow. Haven has fallen, but Haven's spirit will carry us forward. The galaxy thinks we are weak. They are wrong. It is time we show them the truth." The generals nodded. Plans were already unfolding. Fleets were being armed with new weapons. Colonies were fortified. Secret stations in the outer rim prepared to unleash technologies no alien had ever faced. And in the Luna Vault, the scientists of Final Dawn made their final adjustments. The device pulsed brighter each day like the beating heart of a star. Dr. Miles stood before it, whispering softly, "They think we are broken. They think we are finished. But when this awakens, they will know the truth." Among the people, grief for Haven turned into determination. Across every colony, citizens volunteered to work longer hours. Miners dug deeper. Engineers built faster. Farmers sent more food. Soldiers trained harder. Even children carried the memory of Haven with pride. In schools, they spoke of Captain Voss's words, repeating them like a vow. Humanity does not break. For the first time, even the youngest understood that they were part of something greater. Humanity was no longer just a species fighting for survival. Humanity was a force united by fire. Meanwhile, the Draxar celebrated their victory, blind to what was coming. Their emperor declared, "This is the fate of all who defy us. Humanity is nothing but dust, but far away, hidden eyes watched their every move. Human scouts recorded their fleets, their bases, their weaknesses. Every detail was stored, waiting for the day when final dawn would be unleashed." The galaxy held its breath. The humans had promised destruction if attacked again. That promise had been tested. Haven had burned. Now everyone waited to see what humanity would do. Would they strike back with fury? Would they unleash their mysterious weapon? Or would they remain silent, letting fear do the work? No one knew. But one truth was clear. Haven's fall had not broken humanity. It had given them a spark, a fire that burned brighter than ever. In the darkness of space aboard the flagship Defiance, Admiral Corrin stood on the bridge watching the stars. His officers waited for his command. He closed his eyes, remembering Captain Voss's final words. Then he opened them again, his voice calm but unyielding. "Prepare the fleets. The time is near." The crew obeyed without hesitation. Across human space, ships began to move, silent, steady, unstoppable. The spark of defiance had been lit. Soon it would become a firestorm that would shake the galaxy itself. The galaxy had never seen a silence like this. Weeks passed after the fall of Haven and still humanity remained still. Ships moved quietly, fleets patrolled with precision, and distant colonies hummed with hidden activity. The alien alliance watched uncertain. Their confidence from Haven's victory began to fade. The humans had not retaliated, not yet. It was as if they were waiting, counting, calculating. In the Luna Vault, the final adjustments were complete. The scientists of Final Dawn worked tirelessly, monitoring energy flows that pulsed like living stars. Dr. Lyra Miles stood before the main console, her eyes reflecting the glow of the machine. "The final sequence is ready," she said softly. "When activated, every fleet that attacks us will face the consequences. Every system we defend will become untouchable. This will make them understand." Her assistant nodded, hands trembling slightly. "Are we truly ready?" Dr. Miles smiled faintly. "We have been ready for years. Now the galaxy will learn what humanity can do when it is united." Across human space, Admiral Corrin coordinated the fleet. The ships were silent giants, cloaked against detection, carrying weapons unlike any other. Some of these weapons were conventional, but others were built using principles the galaxy had never seen. Energy flowed in patterns that defied prediction. Hulls shimmered with shields that could not be pierced by known technology. Every vessel was a fortress and a spear at once. "Targeting systems online," reported Commander Juna, her voice steady. "Final Dawn coordinates ready," Corrin nodded. "Hold formation. Wait for the first move. We strike only if they test us again. Let them make the mistake." The humans had learned from Haven. They would not act in anger, only in precision and necessity. The alien alliance grew restless. Reports came in from scouts and spies. Entire star systems showed strange energy signatures. Cloaked stations appeared in places no one had explored. Entire fleets seemed to vanish only to reappear in new positions far from their previous locations. "Do they have new weapons?" an alien admiral demanded. "Or are they hiding something worse?" The leaders argued, but no one had answers. Fear had begun to seep in, and yet pride still guided many of them. They believed humanity's warning had been empty, that silence was weakness. So once again a fleet moved forward. The first target was a minor human outpost near the edge of the Orion sector. The alien fleet, confident from their earlier victory, did not expect resistance beyond sensors and automated turrets. But as they entered the system, a strange phenomenon began. Stars flickered as if dimming and brightening in unusual patterns. Gravity readings fluctuated across the system. And then before the aliens could react, fleets and stations that had seemed invisible appeared out of nowhere, surrounding them. "Impossible," shouted the Draxar commander. "Where did these ships come from?" No one answered. Human vessels moved like shadows, striking in perfect synchronization. They avoided unnecessary destruction, targeting only engines and weapons. Within hours, more than half of the alien fleet was disabled. Retreat became chaos. It was the first glimpse of Final Dawn in action. News of the skirmish spread quickly. Across the galaxy, every civilization that had watched humans mock them only weeks ago now reconsidered. Reports flooded in. Fleets disappearing, systems suddenly fortified, star energy behaving in unnatural ways. Whispers of humanity's true power began to circulate. Even the alien alliance could no longer ignore the truth. Their pride, once so loud, was replaced with fear. They called emergency councils, demanding unity, but cracks in their coalition made coordinated action impossible. Humanity's message had not only defended them, it had shattered their enemies' confidence. Meanwhile, in the human colonies, people celebrated quietly. Not with parties or noise, but with pride in their achievements. Every engineer, pilot, and soldier knew they had played a part. Farmers and miners who had sent resources to the fleet whispered to one another with quiet smiles. "We are part of something greater." Haven did not fall in vain. Even the youngest children spoke of it, retelling stories of Captain Voss and the bravery of the colonies. Humanity's victories were no longer only about survival. They were about the spirit of a species that refused to bow. Back aboard Defiance, Admiral Corrin stood on the bridge, watching reports of the galaxy's reaction. Holographic images showed alien fleets in retreat, systems flickering with strange energy, and starfields rearranged by human technology. "We are stronger than they imagined," said Commander Juna, "and they will not recover quickly." Corrin nodded. "No, they will not. And this is only the beginning. Our warning has been fulfilled. If they choose to attack again, they will face humanity's full power." The human scientists of Final Dawn monitored the systems with careful precision. Every calculation was verified twice, then 3 times. Energy levels were adjusted to avoid unnecessary harm, and all movements were synchronized across multiple fleets and stations. "This is not vengeance," Dr. Miles said to her assistant. "This is proof. Proof that humanity cannot be underestimated. Proof that we will survive, and proof that the galaxy must respect us." "Nothing more, nothing less," her assistant nodded, understanding. Humanity's strength lay not just in weapons, but in patience, strategy, and unity. The Draxar Empire was not ready to admit defeat. They sent more fleets, larger this time, hoping to overwhelm human defenses. But every strike was met with precision and intelligence. Ships vanished before enemy weapons could fire, while hidden bases launched strikes that dismantled alien engines and navigation systems. Entire stars appeared to flicker with human energy, creating gravitational shifts that caused fleets to drift helplessly. Planets once considered defenseless now became traps, with hidden energy fields and automated defenses waiting to engage. By the time the aliens realized what had happened, it was too late. Their fleets were crippled. Entire stations vanished. Communication lines collapsed under mysterious interference. Humanity had not only defended themselves, they had transformed the battlefield entirely. Across the galaxy, whispers turned to realization. Humans were no longer weak. They were a force unlike any other. Stories spread quickly. Traders spoke of fleets that appeared out of nowhere, of weapons capable of controlling stars themselves. Even alien scholars who had once laughed at human technology began to study the methods, trying to understand how a young species could achieve such mastery. But understanding was impossible. The knowledge was hidden, safeguarded, and used only in defense of humanity. On Earth, the Council convened once again. They reviewed the reports, their faces calm but proud. Admiral Corrin spoke clearly. "The galaxy has seen our strength. We have proven our warning was not empty. Now all who seek peace may continue, but if anyone dares to strike again, they will face consequences beyond imagination." No one argued. No one hesitated. Humanity had acted, and the galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Even so, humanity did not celebrate loudly. There were no parades or triumphs. The survivors of Haven and the families of every lost colony mourned quietly. Their loss had driven this action, and humanity remembered that it had not come without sacrifice. But in every heart, a quiet pride burned. Humans were no longer victims of the galaxy. They were protectors of themselves and all who sought peace. And far beyond human space, the Alien Alliance convened emergency meetings. Panic was obvious in their eyes. Ships were recalled, plans revised, and councils argued into endless nights. Fear had replaced arrogance. The galaxy had learned, finally, that humanity's warning was real. One word began to spread among the leaders, whispered in fear and caution: Final Dawn. It was a name now known across star systems, associated not with anger but with certainty. Humanity would not threaten lightly, but if attacked again, no one could survive. Back on the Bridge of Defiance, Admiral Corrin watched the stars. The galaxy had seen the spark of human defiance. Now they had seen the dawn of human strength. "Prepare for the next move," he said softly. "But remember, this is not the end. This is the proof that humanity stands united, unstoppable when tested. Our message is clear. One more attack, and they will find nothing left." His officers nodded. The fleets moved silently, ready for anything, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy. Humanity had awoken. The final dawn was here.